A long time ago, I raised a son to know his right from his Romero.
Now we're turning our arguments into content. This is I Am Your Father, where Gen X meets Gen Z in hyperspace. Boom.
Hello. How you doing, Braden?
I am doing good. How you doing, Dad?
I'm good. My code name is Graham, and not just Dad, for those of you listening. And yeah, doing great. Doing great. You had a birthday this week.
I had a birthday this week.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
The big quarter of a century.
Yeah. You're a quarter of the way there toward victory. Yep. How was it? Tell me a little about your birthday. I know I didn't get to spend it with you. I'm looking forward to seeing you around Christmas time, but unfortunately not until then.
Yeah, it was good. It was very much my kind of birthday. I watched both the Dune movies and then went to the gym and then went and watched 2 movies in the theaters and then came home and probably started another movie. So just pretty much movies all day. Nice, relaxing day, which is great.
Yeah, which is nonstop movies.
Yeah, I mean, with this many movies in theaters right now, it's hard to not use that as an excuse to just go and see as many as you can.
Yep, I hear you. I definitely got in the theater this week as well. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. In fact, good opportunity to mention our main topic for this episode. We are going to be covering 2 new releases this week, as well as sort of collected filmographies or parts of the series. The 2 films are Now You See Me, Now You Don't, the third in the Now You See Me installments, or the third installment of the Now You See Me franchise. And then we're also going to be covering Edgar Wright's remake of The Running Man. And so we'll I did not see Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Braden will cover his review of that film and then give us a little ranking of all 3 where he sees them aligned, and also going to kind of quiz him on what he sees as the future or non-future of the franchise. And then we're going to talk about The Running Man. Afterwards, we'll give a quick ranking of Edgar Wright's filmography, his feature films, and then we'll close out with some homework. Yeah,
that sounds good to me.
No 10 and 20 this week.
No 10 and 20.
Because we're going to focus on 2 films. Before we get into the main topic, though, we do have a pretty busy month coming up of additional episodes. You want to just give everybody a quick teaser for some of the things we're going to be covering in future weeks?
Yeah, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be covering, obviously, Wicked, Part 1 and Part 2, because Part 2 is coming out this upcoming weekend. Very excited about that.
Yeah.
And we're also going to do, I'm sure, a Christmas episode, rank some of our favorite Christmas movies as well as maybe draft them. And we're going to do a year recap, our favorite movies from the year, maybe an early Oscars list in our opinion. And then we're also, before the new year kicks off, or maybe in the first week of the new year, going to do an episode where we are talking about upcoming movies, our most anticipated, what we think will be the most successful, so on and so forth. And that's not including all the movies coming out in between them. We'll be touching on all the many, many movies, Avatar, Marty Supreme, so on and so on. There's tons and tons.
We got a lot of good movies coming out in the next 45 days or so.
Yeah. Big time.
So lots to cover. Cool. Well, as I said, this week we're going to start with Now You See Me, Now You Don't. You went and saw this as part of your birthday movie fest.
Yes, I did.
Should we get a review from you?
Yeah. So to preface, I've always been a fan of this concept. I love magic. One of my favorite movies ever is The Prestige. Obviously, that's a much higher quality magic film, but I've always been very fascinated and intrigued with the idea of magic, and obviously I love movies very much. So when I saw Now You See Me, when it first came out, it was my favorite thing ever. It was super cool. Literally started practicing throwing cards because of that movie. Just wanted to be good at it. And I really love that movie. I obviously have seen a lot more movies since these movies have come out, and my taste has changed a little bit, but I just did a revisit of the whole franchise. Okay. And by the whole franchise, I mean the first 2, and then I saw the new one.
All 3. The trilogy.
Now.
I think that's what we should call them when they come in 3s. I'm gonna write that down.
Okay, go ahead and write that down. Okay. Coin that phrase real quick.
.com.
Term. And so I'll just say this. For context, I really enjoy the first one still. I don't think it's as good as I used to think it was. I recognize that it's very cheesy. In a similar vein to some of the Ocean's movies, the more you turn your brain off, the more fun it is, right? And if you just get on board with the concept of, magician heists and these magicians being, these Robin Hood-esque figures, then you're going to have a lot of fun. And some of the performances are really funny. So the first one I would give, well, I guess I don't even need to do that. What I'll do first is I will rate the new one, and then I'll hop into my ranking. Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. For this new one.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I would say, and although I'm not entirely surprised, I would say that this newest movie, Now You See Me, Now You Don't, which should have been the name for the second one, by the way, is going to be a 2.5 stars for me. So a 5 out of 10. This is a movie, how I would describe this was perfectly fine, very forgettable. Like I'll never revisit. Unless a fourth one comes out and I feel the desire to run through the franchise again. But like, I'm never just going to be sitting around and be like, you know what I want to watch right now? Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Ever.
Yeah.
It's fun. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of things in it that are super fun. They bring in a new cast in addition to the old cast. But my biggest problem is that the writing is it's way too easy. It's just holding your hand the whole time. The amount of times there were lines like, Atlas wants us to create a diversion, so that's what we're going to do. Like, you could have just created the diversion, and I think we could have figured it out. Like a lot of these things where they're explaining what's happening or explaining what they're going to do when they really didn't need to. I just really am not a fan of that kind of movie where they're just holding our hand way too much. Additionally, there were just way too many, and I know it's existent in all the movies, but especially in this one, way too many eye roll moments. I went with a buddy of mine, Bo, and the amount of times we looked at each other and we're like, okay. And we were like I don't ever talk in movies.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like talking to like a disruptive level, but we kept joking around the whole time. Like, how is this trick done? Oh, I just figured it out in 1 second. Like, just all these different things. Like, it was too easy in a lot of cases. Characters figured out things that they shouldn't have been able to figure out so quickly. I get it. Like, the concept is like the 7 or 8 best magicians in the world basically in one room together. But it was still just, a lot of it was a little too convenient. That being said, there were lots of fun moments. There were a few scenes that I really did enjoy. I think that original cast has some fun chemistry together, and the new cast also brought in a new level of chemistry that I enjoyed quite a bit with some actors, 2 of which I think are really solid up-and-coming actors, one of which I've never really been a fan of. I won't really dive into who. I don't want to be hating on anybody. But overall, it was a letdown, but not too big of a letdown because I didn't have high hopes for it. And that's why it'll be at the bottom of my Now You See Me ranking.
So before you get into the ranking, I want to ask a couple questions or throw out a few observations. One, I feel like you saying you had low expectations is a bit of a cop-out. I think going back to our very first episode, you mentioned the fact that this was going to be coming out and you were excited about it. I think we've probably talked about this movie like 4 times on the podcast before it came out. And now you're going in saying you had low expectations. I had extremely low expectations. I haven't seen it, but I mean, I feel you mentioned eye roll moments. The trailer itself has 10. Yeah. At least, right?
Which, by the way, many of those aren't even in the movie, which is funny. And so here's the thing. 2 things can be true at the same time. I can both be excited for something while not expecting much from it. And specifically when that trailer came out was when my expectations really went down because the trailer is bad. The second trailer
is really bad.
The second trailer that I saw was better. I was like, okay, that's more like it. But I didn't come into it thinking it was going to be the best of the 3 by any means. I figured it would be competing with the second one and not the first one because the first one was clearly the best in my opinion. And so I didn't have the highest expectations. I was hoping that I would enjoy it. I was hoping that I could have fun with it. And I did have some fun with it, but it just not enough to, ever revisit.
Okay. So then why don't you rank them
and you know
for
what?
us?
I'll touch one more thing on it too.
Okay.
Part of the reason is these movies are kind of known for the twist, right? Which can be kind of a dangerous thing when a franchise is known for their twist. So you go into each movie expecting or looking for said twist or reveal. And I'd say that this one was both good and bad. And it was good in the sense that it didn't cheat. Like there were no moments that I felt like contradicted the twist. But it was bad in the sense that I don't know how much it actually mattered or blew me away. You know, like I was like, okay, there's the twist. Okay, cool, I guess. You know, like that's fine. It didn't cheat, but I'm not like, holy crap. It's not a twist at the end of a Nolan movie or a David Fincher movie or whatever, or even an M. Night movie. So that's part of the reason too, is like ultimately the ending, I didn't really think that it was going to be ending the way that it did. So a little let down. But I'll hop into my ranking because we don't want to spend all time on the Now You See Me movies. My ranking is in third place. I have Now You See Me, Now You Don't, or Now You Three Me, whatever you prefer. And
I hadn't heard that one. That's good.
Now You Three Me is funny. I prefer that one, honestly. In the second slot, no surprise, I have Now You See Me 2. This, and again, I feel like this one is a rather big step down from the first movie, but I still find quite a bit of enjoyment in it. Granted, I also rate it a 5 out of 10 or 2.5 out of 5, but I find it much more enjoyable.
The second one is more enjoyable
than the third. Just because it's a little tighter with the main cast still, minus obviously one subtraction and one new addition that's not handled super well, but it has some scenes in the movie that I really enjoy. Like when I think of the franchise, I think of a few scenes from this movie, specifically the card throwing scene is very famous, and you know, even though it's not all done practically, it's a fun scene to watch. Daniel Radcliffe is obviously just ridiculous in this movie, but he's having fun with it, so it's kind of fun.
I feel like he was the best part.
Yeah, he's really fun in this movie. And you know what I don't like about this movie is Woody Harrelson twin. I think that's really, really stupid. One Woody Harrelson is enough. I enjoy him, I think, probably more than you do, but 2 was just a little overkill.
I like Woody in certain things. I like him a lot in certain things, but he can sometimes be too much Woody and not enough actor, not enough character. And I think in this series, he's really just playing himself. He's the exact same guy in the commercials with Matthew McConaughey. I don't even remember what they're selling, but some kind of AI, right?
Yeah.
He's the exact same guy to me in those commercials as he is in these movies. And I don't like it when Woody is just being Woody and that's it. I think it's super distracting. And so that's kind of why I don't like him. But in other things where he actually gives a performance, I think he can be very talented.
I agree. I have fun with him in these movies, but overall 2 has fun moments, but overall anticlimactic, overly cheesy, and a step down from my number 1 spot. If you haven't noticed, they just get progressively worse, in my opinion. In my number 1, I have the first Now You See Me. I just rewatched this fresh for the first time in many years. And this used to be one of my favorite movies. I never thought it was the highest quality, but I really, really enjoyed it. It was almost like a comfort movie for me.
Yeah.
Revisiting it, it obviously knocked down a little bit. I've seen a lot of better movies since then. But I still had a lot of fun with it. I kind of found that same comfort movie feeling as I was watching it, you know, almost like a little bit of nostalgia, like, oh man, I used to love this movie when I was younger. I think a lot of the performances are really fun. Jesse Eisenberg tends to play a little more neurotic, and although he does the fast talking always and he can be a dick, he's usually coming more from the place of being, you know, either a nerd or a tech guy, you know. So seeing him actually like almost as this kind of playboy magician who's still very Jesse Eisenberg, I enjoy it. I think it's fun. It was actually maybe my first experience with Jesse Eisenberg growing up was this movie. I love the performances in this movie. I love the vibe. It's the tightest script in my opinion. It knows exactly what it wants to be. The twists and turns are fun. They make sense to me, especially the final reveal. I do think it cheats a little bit. But as a kid, it definitely blew me away. And so it didn't matter, you know? And I think this is the only one that feels like it actually has some stakes. And the rest after that, it's just always, you know, the magicians are ahead. You just always know that. But in this very first movie, you don't always know who's in charge, who's winning, who's ahead. And, you know, they have the really great lines they're kind of cheesy, but I really love the lines where he says, "Get all close. I'll always be 3 steps ahead of you. And just when you think you got caught up, boom, I'm right behind you." Like lines like that for 15, 16-year-old Braden were the coolest thing in the world. I'm like, that is, I want to make that my personality, you know? So all that to say, nowhere near a perfect movie, nowhere near a really great movie. But in my opinion, I'd say it's really good. I give it a 3.5 stars. I'd be willing to revisit that movie almost any time. It's definitely the best of the franchise. They get progressively worse. But it's a fun franchise overall, and I definitely don't think it's worth just tossing out. I think they all have a little something to bring to the table, but especially the first one.
You think we'll have a fourth at this point?
Yeah, no, that's actually pretty much all but confirmed. They're talking about it actively.
Okay.
Yeah, the casts, now that they are all back together, you know, the whole cast.
Yeah.
They're just talking about it as though, like, I think they're actively working on it. Like, it seems to be a certainty.
So let's just compare your reviews and your list really quickly to the Rotten Tomatoes scores. For some reason, critics have this one.
Are you a Rotten Tomato warrior?
No, I mean, I think it's an interesting barometer, but I definitely don't. I mean, there's a lot of really movies that I love that are in the 60s, 50s.
And vice versa.
And there are some movies that have super high scores that I just don't get at all in terms of why anybody likes it. But I think it's an interesting barometer. But that's it. And so again, keeping in this in the topic of interesting, Now You See Me, Now You Don't has a 60 rating from critics. The first Now You See Me a 51, and Now You See Me 2 a 34. So critics' rankings are totally different than yours.
Yeah.
What do you think that they saw in this third one, that critics are seeing in this third one, that makes them think it's the best of the three?
I honestly could not tell you. I was, with that in mind, I almost was going into this thinking, like, is there a chance this is somehow better than the first one? Like,
yeah.
And it just was so far from it, in my opinion, especially an actor who I really enjoy in most things, Jesse Eisenberg. In this movie, I was just not enjoying at all.
Yeah.
Like, he's become a character of his character, and at just no point was he, like, in any way redeemable. Like, he's just a dick in this one to the new people, but then to his group, his family, he's now like lost all of that jerk factor and is just like family with them. And it's just like a really weird hybrid for his character specifically, where I'm like, you're like, we see who you were in these other two movies, but now with this group of people, like, you're just a completely different character altogether.
Yeah.
The villain I thought was okay, like nothing incredible. I mean, I really don't know. Like I said, I rolled my eyes in this movie more than any other movie in the franchise. I will say it is the least reliant on hypnotism, which I'm thankful for. That's one thing. I mean, out of all the tricks, the hypnotism ones are always the least believable or the biggest cop-outs for me. Like, oh, they were hypnotized. You know? This is the least reliant.
You can cover up anything with that,
Anything. This was definitely the least reliant on hypnotism, so I do appreciate that. I'm sure that gets at some points. But overall, I thought all of the acting, like everybody's acting, was at C and B level at best.
Yeah.
And I felt like the story was definitely no stronger than the other two, and I thought it was weaker. So I really don't know. I have no idea why this one is getting better reviews overall.
All right.
And the other thing too, like last point I'll make on it is why I don't think it makes sense is I feel like this franchise fits a lot better in the 2010s. Like this franchise feels very 2010s to me. It feels like it fits a lot better 10 to 15 years ago than it does now. So I'm really not sure. I feel like it's something we would have eaten up back when it started and not as much now. So I am not sure. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because I think it is clearly worse than the first one. I could hear an argument for it being over the second one, seeing as I have them both rated the same. But I think it's probably the worst of the franchise.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you saving me the $15. I got to say, interestingly enough, this last weekend, Now You See Me, Now You Don't was top at the box office, outranking our next film we're going to cover, Edgar Wright's The Running Man.
Though not horribly surprising.
I kind of was surprised. I sort of thought that the marketing for The Running Man looked better. It seemed more interesting. It was something we really hadn't seen, even though it's a remake and it's a book. Like the IP's out there, of course, but it this is our third Now You See Me, and neither of them I don't think have been like monster hits. I think the first one was reasonably successful, but I don't know. I could be wrong about that. I just had no interest myself. So anyway, well, I was personally surprised that it was second place.
I think one thing that maybe you're not taking into account is just the fact that one of them is rated R and one of them is more so a family movie. I mean, anything rated R is already at a disadvantage. They just don't make as much.
Yeah. That's fair. Predator Badlands came in at number 3, almost as much as The Running Man did.
That's surprising to me.
I'm glad to see it's having some legs.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Half as much, a little more than half as much as Now You See Me, Now You Don't. So Predator Badlands continuing to perform and deliver. It's a significantly better movie than, unfortunately, either of the two that we're going to talk about today. So not to bury the lead, but should we get into our second film?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll start. We have Edgar Wright's film, The Running Man. This was a Schwarzenegger box office hit in the 80s, based on a Stephen King book, or story rather. And I got to say, personally, I was pretty disappointed. It was fun at times, but I expect a lot more from Edgar Wright than just fun at times. And so I found myself really bummed out afterwards, and I felt like this movie had a ton of flaws that really overshadowed anything that I personally liked about it. I won't get into that yet. I'll let you throw in your headline on what you thought, and then we can get into some of our likes and dislikes.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoyed it a little more than you, but I wasn't blown away. I think the tone was all over the place. Yeah. And that's something that Edgar Wright normally handles very well, is balancing, the lighthearted and joking tone versus the serious moments and serious feeling. And
I'd argue he's one of the best at that. Like he manages to to cross genres, to cross tones in a way that you just never see coming, and they work so perfectly. I mean, all the way back to Shaun of the Dead, where you've got this weird, zombie horror comedy that is both scary and hilarious all at the same time. He's good at that.
And I feel like he kind of dropped the ball here. I also will say that his reason for making this movie is he wanted to make a much more faithful adaptation to the book. I have yet to read the book. It's on hold. I get my audiobooks from the library. And Nat did read the book, and she actually really enjoyed it, more so towards the end. Her whole thing was...
She enjoyed the book or the movie?
Huh?
She enjoyed the book or the movie?
She enjoyed both.
Okay.
But she read the book, and her whole thing was, we live in the world that now has the Hunger Games and the Maze Runner and all these other things that obviously didn't exist when this book was first written.
And the Purge and all the horror versions of that. And
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But towards what you would call the third act of the book, she was much more invested. She thought it was really good. She was really enjoying the back half of that book. And she said, if this movie doesn't end like the book, I'm going to be extremely disappointed. And I said, well, there's probably a really good chance, because he just keeps saying how faithful, like the reason he's making this movie is he wants a faithful adaptation to the book.
Yeah.
Because obviously the old movie is nowhere near that. And so then the movie ends, and I was like, well, did you get like that thing specifically you were looking for? She's like, no. I'm like, well, that sucks.
That does suck.
So it's kind of funny. It's like his whole reason for making the movie, at least what he's saying, right? He's like, I've wanted to make a faithful adaptation, like literally for years. He's been wanting to make this movie, he said.
Yeah.
And then it's much more faithful, I'm sure. I'm going to read the book here within the next week or so, but still not quite there. So it's like, for me, I know she was disappointed because of that. I haven't read the book, so I'm sure book readers will probably feel that. I felt like the tone was all over the place. But there were lots of fun moments with it. Some of the parts of the trailer that I didn't think I was going to really like too much, I didn't mind as much in the movie. But it just never quite had that spark for me, where I was like, oh yeah, this is a really good movie.
Well, I think the pacing was kind of a mess, and kind of a mess right from the beginning. I mean, the opening sequence, it puts us in media res, which typically I really like. I mean, I don't need this whole long drawn out, like, not every movie has to have the Star Wars scroll that sets up what we're, the world that we're in, necessarily, right? But this one just drops us right into the middle of a conversation, a really heated conversation, and I found it really jarring. It didn't work for me. It was like, oh, okay, what's going on? I'm not sure. Like, and it was like playing into aspects of the character that we don't know anything about yet, and it just didn't ring true. And I found that same pacing to be consistent throughout, especially as he introduces new characters, whether it was Michael Cera's character or Amelia Jones's character. They just showed up out of nowhere, and as if we had always known them, and it didn't work. And I think that's odd, because typically he's very good at bringing somebody new into the story. Every time he brought somebody new into the story, it felt really jarring and confusing to me. So I felt like the pacing was just really strange.
Yeah. I like Glenn Powell. I've not been on the Glenn Powell train that everybody else has been. And
yeah, for sure.
And so I wasn't like seeing this movie because he was in it by any means.
No,
I liked him in Top Gun. I'm struggling to even think of what else I've seen him in, honestly.
I'm not sure I've liked him in anything but Top Gun, to be perfectly honest. Although I have not seen Twisters yet, and I've heard he's very good in that. A lot of people talk about how good he is in Twisters, but I haven't seen that one yet.
I mean, yeah, he's good, but it's not like... It's nothing insane. That being said, I did like him in this movie. I think ultimately, like, the parts of him that I didn't like came down to direction. At no point did I feel that his performance was bad or something that I wasn't on board with. More so the tonal shifts back and forth of, this kind of like lighthearted chase and like his extreme anger. Like when he was acting angry, I bought it. Like, he's angry, I didn't think it was ridiculous. I didn't think it was too much, but it's too much coming right off of a scene that's way more lighthearted, or he's being sarcastic and funny, and like it was too back and forth. There's a scene specifically at the end where like his rage hits an all-time high, and like when he's operating in this state, like so for like that whole 15-minute stretch, I thought he was doing great. I was buying it. I didn't think it was like super cheesy or anything like that. But my problem more so was just the back and forth. Like, for someone who they're introducing to us immediately as angry and hot-headed, and they show us repeatedly how angry and hot-headed he is. They even say to him, the reason he can win is because he's so angry. Like they say these things. There was too much of like the Glenn Powell leading man Hollywood heartthrob guy in there also, of just like, well, let me be naked and show my butt and rappel down this building and like make snarky remarks, and like there was a little bit too much of that, and I don't think that was so much his fault as just the directing and editing of the film.
Yeah, it could have been script too. I mean, I wrote down while watching it that I felt like all of the sci-fi techno mumbo jumbo jargon that he had to deliver, none of it sounded the least bit natural coming out of his mouth. Every time he had to talk about and give us exposition about the world in the future, it all sounded like he just literally made it up on the fly. None of it really worked for me. And I honestly, the script is a little sloppy at times when he has to call attention to something and then tell us the acronym and then have the acronym labeled out for it. I can't even remember whatever that special dynamite was that they had. It was just super silly. BFE. Yeah. I mean,
big F and
BFE.
explosive.
What? Yeah, big F and explosive. Oh, thanks for telling us. So you mentioned this in the last film about it, like having to hold our hand. I felt like they were holding our hand the whole time, and it was just like, this is a gun. Guns shoot bullets. Oh, okay. Like they were so specifically explaining everything to us. It really kind of drove me nuts. I don't know.
One of the other reasons it didn't work as much, and I think you just kind of touched on it a little bit, is, and Nat really feels this way because she's read the book. This movie, to me, was most of the time focused on the game and that was actually when it was at its weakest. I think one of the reasons like Hunger Games, like the first two, work so well is because there's the game, but the real game is like the social status, the economic status of everybody, the layers of what's happening, right? It's the political atmosphere of the game, right? That's what makes those movies and those books, well, more so the movies, work for me. And that said, that the book, that's what the book is about. The book is barely about the game or surviving. It's more so about the people, the situations that he's running into as he goes, surrounding all that. And we get hints of that in the movie, like obviously like the line outside the drugstore and the guy falling over in line, like and his kid, and then the other kid who has cancer. Like we get those things in the movie, but it's just kind of like there. And the movie really is more so for the action genre, run away from all these things. And so I think that's part of what made it weak too, is like it felt very surface level because we were so focused on the concept, the game of it, that we didn't get to ever feel like the bigger implications of it, the way it affects the society, the way that people are drawn into it. Like a small parallel would be like the Truman Show, right? The Truman Show, he's in this thing, we see how the world reacts to it. Even just the way the movie ends, you know, he breaks out of the experiment. Basically, he breaks out of everybody getting to see him all the time. People are watching him, and it's a really great ending where the guys are like, two security guards are just watching him, like, and then they change the channel. They're like, what's next? Like, it's a huge commentary on the world, and we don't really get that too much in this movie. It's just everybody enjoys the games, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, I agree. The ending kind of just really falls flat consistently. By the way, the big
Multiple
reveal,
endings.
the big reveal with the major, whatever it is, the guy with the mask, who they made just such a big deal about the fact that this guy has this mask. I kept saying to myself, like, obviously they're going to reveal who this is at some point. This is what possible reveal could they bring that's going to really blow me away here? Like, is it going to be Josh Brolin's character secretly in there all the time? That doesn't make sense. Who could it possibly? I'd forgotten I'd seen Lee Pace's name in the credits. When he finally pulls the mask off, I'm like, who effing cares? Like, why? He could have just been Lee Pace the whole movie, and it would have been a significantly better performance and more interesting. When he reveals himself, there's absolutely no payoff at all. This hilarious. Is literally Chekhov's gun with a flag that says "bang" coming out of it at the end.
It's so funny because you just nailed it. I have seen so many interviews of Glenn Powell, Josh Brolin, and Lee Pace, and I have been like, "Where's Lee Pace in this movie?" Like, or in the trailers, right?
Right.
I go into this movie.
You clocked it right away.
No.
Oh, you
because
did? Okay.
I go into this movie, I completely forget because I don't care that much. And I'm watching this. And I'm watching this movie, and then I'm not really like caring too much about who's under the mask. I don't even think that they do it in a way where you care until the moment where he says, "Take off your mask." And then I have your same exact experience. I'm like, who could it be right now that this is going to be a reveal? And again, similar to you, I'm running through all the different characters that we've met. And then he takes off his mask. I'm like, oh yeah, this dude's all over the marketing. I could have figured this out had I thought about it for a second. But then who cares? Who cares? It was a bad reveal. Completely.
It was a really bad reveal.
The better reveal is that he was the first contestant. Like, that's a better reveal. Not it being Lee Pace's face under the mask.
But it's not as if if that was the case, they should have shown him as himself earlier. There should have been like lots of posters. There should have been something that kind of talked about who he was, so that we then did care that he was the first contestant and now he's back doing this.
Exactly.
But he pulls it off and we're like, okay, great. I kind of recognize him.
Yeah.
And then it moves on. I don't know.
You're right.
That was the really heartbreaking thing for me too. The other heartbreaking thing for me was just the absolute absence of Edgar Wright's touch and vision on this film. I saw none of it.
I wouldn't have known it was him.
Absolutely. It did not feel like him at all. And I think that he's done a lot of different types of movies, but really creative editing, really creative camera work, really quick, fast pacing that just feels like use of music. It's nonstop, like jab, jab, punch, jab, jab, punch. and this just did not have any of that. This felt like it could have been directed by anybody, and it was such a huge bummer because I've been a major fan of like 20 years. At least 20 years I've been into this guy's movies, and I don't think he's had a bad one yet until this, and I really felt like this was a bad movie and just did not feel like Edgar Wright at all.
So then what would you rate it?
Well, I think I gave it a 2.5 as well, and I honestly felt like that was being generous.
I think you gave it a 2.
Did I give it a 2? Okay, that sounds more right. As I'm sitting here thinking about it, it does feel like it should have only been a 2. I found myself wishing for Arnold's nonstop one-liners throughout this. I mean, at least that film, as bad as it is, it knows what it is. It's not trying to be anything but that, you know?
Yeah.
And I just don't think, unfortunately, that Edgar Wright's The Running Man has any idea what it is and wants to be. And it's a huge bummer because I've loved this stuff so much over the years.
Can I just say that I'm happy that we're not really diving into the old Running Man, because that was one of my least favorite movies I've ever watched.
That's fair. That's fair.
Dude, that was a tough watch. Watch.
The last thing
I give it... Oh, sorry. I'll just give my rating real quick since you gave yours. I just confirmed you did give it a 2.
Okay.
I gave it a 3. Because I did find enjoyment in it. It was better than Now You Three Me. I think it had redeeming factors, but again, I don't know that I'll ever feel the need to revisit this one.
Yeah. Well, if you did, I'm pretty certain that rating's going to come down. I feel like you're being really generous.
It's possible. I mean, I've talked about it before. If I'm watching a movie in the theaters, especially with friends, I'm going to be a little softer on it or hotter on it just because of the vibes.
Yeah. All right, well, let's real quickly then talk through Edgar Wright's filmography, and I'm going to rank them 1 to 7 in terms of feature films. Hopefully we have that number right. Occasionally we screw that up and we get a lot of vitriol. But I think there's 7 feature films that he has made, and so we're just going to talk through those. So I have Running Man squarely in last place.
And just for the record, this is not my ranking. This is your ranking.
This is my ranking specifically because you disagree with my ranking.
It is pretty different from mine. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to hear your take as we go. But
yes.
Would you put The Running Man at the bottom of his list?
I'm looking at him right now. There's only one that I haven't seen. I haven't seen The World's End, so that would kind of by default be at the bottom.
Yeah.
But below that, I think it might be Running Man. Yeah. I'm checking my ratings on these movies. Yep. It would be Running Man, would be at the bottom for me.
So I have The World's End in the 6th slot. The World's End is the last of their trilogy. I forget what they call it. It's the name of some ice cream brand that they eat in all 3 movies.
I forget.
And but to me, it's a sort of significantly lower quality version of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, but it still has redeeming qualities. There are times when I think it goes a little too far in ways that just are kind of take me out of the film, but I do enjoy it, and I've revisited it. Yeah, in a goofy way. Yeah.
Okay, that was my impression of the movie just based on the poster, honestly.
Yeah. But it's still worth watching, and I enjoy it, and it feels like an Edgar Wright film, unlike The Running Man. So I would say the number one reason I have The Running Man in 7 is just does not feel anything like an Edgar Wright movie at all to me, and that's a huge disappointment. I would say that The World's End is worth watching for sure, especially if you liked the other 2 in the unofficial trilogy.
Yeah, I need to get to it.
Yeah, but it's not amazing. It's not an amazing film. In the 5 slot, I have his film Last Night in Soho, which also it feels a little less Edgar Wright than others, but it still has his touches throughout. It's definitely the first time I watched one of his films and felt like some actual fear. I think he does a really good job of changing the shift changing the tone, shifting the tone. He handles it really well. I think that the dual performances between Anya Taylor-Joy and I'm going blank on her name right now. It's really good. I think that Matt Smith is good in it. It's a totally cool movie to watch.
McKenzie?
Yeah. No, that's not right. Anyway, from the girl from Jojo Rabbit. And the movie is pretty good. It's scary. It's got some good twists and turns. The camera work is really cool. He shoots everything practically, so he's jumping back and forth between timelines and eras, and in one sequence. And as this one character is sort of embodying the spirit of the other, and he does a great job of moving it through. Some of the behind the scenes stuff, you should check it out if you haven't already seen it, just to how he does those shots, how he does things with mirrors, and how he's got all the actors just like doing this really intricate dance as the camera moves around the room. It's pretty cool.
I would agree with your placement on this one, though. I think it's really good, but I would agree with your placement in the 5 slot.
Mm-hmm. All right. So in number 4, this is where I think that you may find it a little bit more controversial, because I have Baby Driver in the 4th slot. I think it's a great movie. I have so much fun with it. In a lot of ways, I feel like it is Edgar Wright really stepping up and moving into what feels like a more like big budget Hollywood-y film, even though it still feels very much small and contained in a interesting Edgar Wright kind of way. Great performances across the board, even Jamie Foxx, who I don't typically like too much. And yeah, Baby Driver's a blast. But again, my top 4 here are all really good to me, and so no shade to Baby Driver, but I have it in the 4th slot.
Yeah, this is definitely where I branch off from you. This is my personal favorite Edgar Wright film, is Baby Driver. I really love this movie. I think it came out at the perfect time. I mean, I was 16 years old when this movie came out. Uh-huh. And it's so fun. Like, I watched really this. This is another comfort movie for me, but I think it's actually really high quality. Yeah. I could turn this movie on anytime and have the best time. This is one of my favorite movies.
It's a blast. Well, so I feel that way about all 4 of what I have in his top 4. I revisit all 4 of these films all the time. I just have them on. Oh, you know what? I just need something entertaining in the background that I know I'm going to smile and laugh and think, oh, that's cool. All 4 of these films for me are in that zone.
So let me say this real quick. I have seen Baby Driver like 5 or 6 times. Mm-hmm. These other 3 I've only seen once, and I need to go through them again. And Scott Pilgrim versus the World specifically, I've just seen once within like the last 2 months. So I haven't seen all of them more than one time, and I know for a fact that almost all of these will go up when I revisit them.
Did I assign that to you in homework, Scott Pilgrim?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it sounds like the kind of homework I would have assigned you.
Yes,
but that's okay. So I have Pilgrim in 3, and honestly, on any given day, Scott Pilgrim could be my number 1. I've rewatched that film dozens and dozens of times. It's a favorite of one of your sisters. So the 2 of us watch it together all the time, and we just laugh at how funny it is. And I just think
it's hilarious.
He just does such a great job of weaving in this like comic book and video game and live action film style all at once. That it's just, I think it's ingenious. And he's got such an amazing cast throughout that are all delivering these over the top performances that all somehow really work. You know, it's like, have you ever seen half of these actors have so much fun in any other role they've ever played? They are so clearly
definitely not
just having an absolute time of their life on this movie.
No, it's hilarious. Or I guess what I should say is what Chris Evans says. That's actually hilarious.
It's actually hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, has he ever been more fun and interesting in anything he's ever done? I mean,
no, he's super
cool.
Fun.
He plays cool. He can play a really good jerk. Obviously, he's evil in this movie, but he's evil in such a hilarious way that you just,
Yeah, I mentioned I just watched this one. I said a couple months ago. It was in August. I actually watched it in Mexico. I just checked.
Oh, okay.
I could watch it again.
You and I were in Mexico?
Yeah, when we were just in Mexico.
Yeah.
I could watch it again right now. I thought it was really funny, and clearly it has a rewatchability factor because I'd be willing to watch it again already.
So much rewatchability. This is one of those movies that you will continue to hear new jokes 3 or 4 times in.
I also love the one.
How did I miss that the first time?
I also love the one where like the one guy is all of his power comes from being vegan.
Yeah. but he doesn't know he doesn't know what it means to be a real vegan. He's eating chicken. He's like, chicken's not vegan. He's so confused. It's all so silly. But I mean, I think that this is a really great example of where, in many ways, the source material feels unadaptable. Yeah. And somehow he manages to adapt it. I think about this with the Hitchhiker series or other Douglas Adams work. In so many ways, they're unadaptable. I think that there's only ever been mediocre examples of adapting Douglas Adams work across the board, I think. But and that's because the way he writes is at times so absurd that bringing it into the world of feature films just doesn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
This should have been like that, and somehow Edgar Wright manages to pull it off with Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. So I have it number 3, and I think it's great. I probably have this movie a 4.5. I don't remember exactly, but I have it pretty rated high. All right, in the 2 slot, I have Hot Fuzz. I think Hot Fuzz is just so hilarious. It is such an amazing send-up of 80s and 90s, buddy cop action movies, mixed in with some kind of like 2000s horror slasher. And the entire time you're absolutely laughing. Simon Pegg is so freaking good in this movie. He's just absolutely hilarious as Angel. And the way that they send up all of the Mel Gibson movies and Bruce Willis movies and everything else that they're doing, Bad Boys, everything that the way that they are just having the best time of their life, knocking these movies off one after another, while still somehow managing to put together a pretty cool story with characters that we actually care about.
Yeah, I would actually personally have this one over your number 1.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
That might be a hot take. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's close. So, I mean, I have Shaun of the Dead at first. It's his first feature. He'd certainly been directing quite a bit of television and other things, commercials and some short films before Shaun of the Dead. But Shaun of the Dead is his first feature film. And I just think that it so perfectly introduces us to who this guy is going to be and what he brings. There is some absolute ingenious filmmaking going on throughout this movie. The way that he creates all these different parallels throughout the film, that kind of just these shots and jokes and lines that continue to pay off over and over and over again. I think he perfectly takes a genre that honestly had been pretty tired and there hadn't been a ton of great stuff in it for a long time. And I think he's part of revitalizing it. But he does it in such an unconventional way by somehow making this movie where, where these slackers are your heroes and these total losers who you shouldn't otherwise be interested in eventually redeem themselves in a certain way that make you really care about them and love them. And he brings true emotion. He brings some legitimate, graphic zombie gore to this film. It's funny. It's action packed. It's super cool.
Yeah, it's a good one. I am now in the mood to revisit at least 3 of these movies.
Yeah.
Probably the 3 we just talked about.
They're totally worth it.
I feel that. And again, I've only seen them once, and 2 of them it's been probably a year or 2 since I watched them for the first time. Maybe I need to do a little marathon.
Yeah. Well, I think you will enjoy it. Okay, so in order from bottom to top, I have The Running Man in 7, The World's End in 6, Last Night in Soho at 5, a really great film. Starting 4 and up are all complete 4.5 to 5-star films, in my opinion. Baby Driver 4, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World 3, Hot Fuzz 2, and Shaun of the Dead in the first slot. 1 through 4 oftentimes could be really interchangeable. At times they're all so good.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I guess moral of the story is that I'm still pretty bummed out about The Running Man.
Yeah, so actually his 2 most recent movies feel the least like Edgar Wright.
Meaning Last Night in Soho and this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like Last Night in Soho still has his touch on it. It feels like Edgar Wright stepping into a new genre and trying a new style of filmmaking, but it still feels like him to me. You know,
this might as well have been directed by insert generic director here.
Absolutely, and this is what we said about some of the more recent Guy Ritchie movies and things like. I don't get, these guys are directors that have a vision and a POV, and this film, he completely loses it. I still saw it in Last Night in Soho. I think the big difference in Last Night in Soho is that you don't have the comedy element that you have in all of his other films. He goes pretty straight, thriller / horror with this, suspense. He doesn't bring in the comedy element, but we get that in all of his other films, including The Running Man. But that's the only thing that really feels Edgar Wright-ish to me at all. But it fell flat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, should we dive into homework?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. You gave me Glengarry Glen Ross, starring everybody. And I enjoyed it a lot. I really did. I would.
It seems like a big butt coming.
No, there's no but. I'm sure I don't have it rated as high as you, but I did really enjoy it. I think in my review I said that this could be a really good background movie. Like, you could just listen to the whole movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The
like,
dialogue
you don't
so
actually
specific.
need to watch. Honestly, I feel like you could just listen. Obviously, watching is what's intended, but I feel like I could throw this movie on in the background of getting anything done and just listen to it. There were some really great performances. Obviously, your aura-filled line, "Coffee is for closers," came in like the first 5 minutes of the movie. Alec Baldwin shows up for 5 minutes and is the biggest douche. And I think it's a really interesting story on the toxicity of the hustle culture or the worship of money, and who cares who's getting hurt along the way as long as you're getting your paycheck and it's bigger each time. You know, it was very stressful, and I really enjoyed it. I really did. I would give it a 3.5 stars.
Okay, that's pretty good for you considering this type of film, but I definitely think it's higher. I agree with you. Can I ask you, of all the different performances, whose was your favorite? Which character did you like the most, or not necessarily like, but at least appreciate the most?
That's tough. I don't know that there was one specific standout overall. If I had to pick one, I'd say probably, and I don't even know his name, the guy who had the most to work with, being the one who ultimately was the thief.
Jack Lemmon is the actor, yeah. Levine.
Jack Levine. Have I seen him in anything else?
No, Jack Lemmon is the character, sorry.
Oh, Jack Lemmon.
The character, I can't remember his first name, but the last name's Levine.
Okay, yeah.
Because they call him the Machine. Levine the Machine.
The Machine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have I seen him in anything else?
Probably. I mean, he's a really famous actor. I think he might have even won an Academy Award. He's been around forever. I've seen him in a million things, but he hasn't been doing. I mean, he might even be dead at this point. But if you looked him up, I mean, we're going back to classic films with like Marilyn Monroe, and this guy's done a lot. Yeah. Okay. Probably most famously, he did the movie called The Odd Couple with Walter Matthau. That's super famous. Yeah, well, it'd be him or Alec Baldwin in his 5 to 10 minutes on screen was super entertaining. It's amazing. I think there's so many times I've watched this film, like you go back and you kind of just really focus on one actor and their performance. Each one of them is giving such a great performance. Even Alan Arkin, who mostly just stammers a lot the whole time and is struggling to get anything out at all. But the way he does it is just so ingenious. Al Pacino is fantastic. Al Pacino was nominated for an Academy Award for this part, as a matter of fact. I think he's just absolutely brilliant as well. And then just the way they all play off of each other, it's great. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it a lot. Good, I'm glad. I gave you Fury, starring Brad Pitt, everybody else, Shia LaBeouf. Yeah. My main man, you know who I'm going to say. Yeah. So, what'd you think? I thought it was okay. I found myself asking, who am I rooting for here a lot? Yeah. I was not expecting for... the performance we got out of Brad Pitt was odd to me. He seemed ambivalent. He seemed disinterested. He seemed, and then he would break into these fits of rage. There were times when he seemed like he was going to be the moral center and leader of this crew, and other times where he just let them all be total jerks and assholes. And so I really found myself not liking any of the characters throughout, and so trying to understand what I was. Not even Logan Lerman's character. No, I mean a little bit, but he's comes off as so weak initially. They want you to feel that way, that he's not super likable yet either. Also, when he refuses to defend his unit and get somebody killed, I mean that's not great. You don't love that in a character. Obviously, he's on a journey, and he's definitely maybe the only one that actually goes on a journey. It's his arc throughout, but I just found myself just not really feeling like there was anybody to root for. And it was kind of just sad. There were some really great action sequences. There were some really cool tank battle sequences. We don't get a ton of good tank battles in movies.
Rarely.
But at the same time, I also found myself wanting more in that world. There were times when I thought, I get that you can't see much when you're in that tank, but as an audience, we need to figure out a way to transcend that when you're the audience, to really try and understand it. Either lean all the way into like the super shallow view of field that I would have if I was in that tank and really make me feel like I'm inside of it, or give me some broader, like more epic action sequences. So I feel like the action sequences were good. They just weren't amazing. So all in all, I feel like it was just an okay. I think I gave it 2.5 on this one. It could have been close to a 3. But I just, like I said, I didn't feel like anybody was particularly likable or redeemable. And I found myself pretty disinterested in their outcome, unfortunately.
All right. Sorry to disappoint you.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you got something, even better for me this week.
I think I do. Okay. If you don't like this one, I'd be a little concerned, honestly. Okay. This one took me a while to get to.
Okay.
Came out 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it's called Sing Sing, starring Coleman Domingo, and I'm not going to tell you anybody else who's in it, mostly because that in and of itself is somewhat of a mini reveal. I think you're really going to like this. It took me a while. Okay. I'm not sure why. I just never... Everybody said it was good. Never got to it until recently, and I was pretty disappointed that I hadn't gotten to it yet.
I don't think it had a big theatrical release, right? It was pretty limited release.
I think it was pretty limited. The cast does amazing. It's acted really well. It's a really powerful movie. Coleman Domingo gives an incredible performance. I don't remember if he was in the run for an Oscar or not.
Yeah, I believe he was.
And he might have deserved it. Like, he's really, really good in this movie. And stick around for the credits also, because there's some fun things that happen in the credits. I don't want to give it away. But I think you're really going to like it. If not, you're just maybe a bad person. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Looks like it's available for me to stream on HBO Max.
Yep.
And I am looking forward to that. So I'm going to call that out whenever I can, so that anybody in our audience that wants to search for any of these films and watch them alongside of us can do so. So HBO Max, Sing Sing. I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely been on my list for a little while. But I haven't got to it, so thanks for the recommendation. I'm giving you something a little more lighthearted than Glengarry Glen Ross. I'm giving you a Wes Anderson animated film, Isle of Dogs. I think as a dog lover and an animation lover, I think you will enjoy this. It's very Wes Anderson-ish, but it's I say that as a compliment. But I think that you should really enjoy this one. Great cast, and should be available for you on Disney Plus.
What's funny is I was so close to turning this on the other day.
Oh, yeah?
Because I've been meaning to get to it.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad I didn't. So now I can do it as homework.
Good. Yeah. Well, you need to check our letterbox list of potential homework for Braden, so you don't get too far ahead of yourself.
Yeah. I didn't know you had one. Oh, yes. I forgot. You did. I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay. So should I just not touch any of the 50 movies on that list?
That's right. Not without permission.
Just gonna withhold like good movies from myself.
That's right. You're going to get to them all. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay. So Isle of Dogs from Wes Anderson. That's your homework this week.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. All right. Well, we ranked and we debated. We disagreed. They're not about who shot first. It's all just another day in the galaxy.
So whether you're Gen X, Gen Z, or somewhere lost in the timeline, please continue to listen, like, share, and subscribe to I Am Your Father.
Until the next episode, remember that with great power comes great second breakfast, but winter is also coming, so may the Force live long and prosper within you.
Is this your card?
See you later.